Nick, thanks very much. Now, if you were thinking tonight is the night to crack open that nice bottle of wine that you've been saving, well, don't. The idea that the taste of wine changes with the lunar calendar is gaining credibility among the UK's major retailers, who believe the day on which wine is drunk alters its taste. Well, this is the theory, is that wine will taste different depending on the day it's drunk because it responds to the movements of the moon. The lunar calendar uses the moon and stars to predict days as fruit, flower, leaf or root. So wine tastes best on fruit and flower days. Not so good, though, leaf and root days. You still with me? So if you fancy a tipple this weekend, you are out of luck because it won't taste great. But if you wait until about 8 o'clock on Wednesday, your bottle will definitely be at its best. And from 6 p.m. on Friday and throughout next Saturday as well, you can maximise your enjoyment to the full fruitiness of your wine. So, would you really notice a difference? Here's what one wine expert told us earlier.
Most people drinking at home aren't going to notice any difference. I mean, personally, I find some days as a professional wine taster, I'll go along and I'll start tasting. And I start questioning myself. I start thinking, you know, am I just a bad taster? All the wines maybe taste the same, or it's really hard to get the differences, or some really expensive bottles just taste a bit dull. And other days I'll taste and the wines are all singing and they're beautiful. And I don't know whether it's necessarily the alignment of the planets. It could be that it could be the atmospheric pressure, for instance. Or it's quite bright and sunny outside today, and I imagine the pressure's quite high. So that could be something that makes wine taste a little bit better.
So, that's the theory. What's the reality? Well, let's ask two people who should know. Wine dealer David Motion joins us live from his shop, The Winery, in West London. And here in the studio with me, Pipalo Petrasi, Master of Wine and Senior Product Development Manager for Tesco's. Very good evening to you both. David, I'll come to you first. Do you abide by this theory, agree with it?
I do, absolutely, and it's a theory that we tested just last week. I mean, as a wine merchant, we've been increasingly interested in biodynamic wines. They just taste fantastic compared with conventional wines. And we just thought we should try an experiment and try on a leaf day and then on a fruit day, which we did on Tuesday and Thursday, opening the same wines, to see if there was any difference. And the results were totally conclusive, overwhelming. They were just not exactly chalk and cheese. Obviously, all the wines were good on Tuesday, and everybody would have been perfectly happy. But maybe just a little bit close, tight, and inexpressive. And then on Thursday evening, everything was just you know, like blaring trumpets. It's like the heavens opened, and it was just dead obvious.
Could it not be that you just needed more of a drink on the Thursday rather than Tuesday, that you were in a different mood?
It's possible that it's not just the wines, it's possible that it's us as well, because I'm sure at this point now that the moon has its influence on us, even though it's something that I've not really been aware of at all, living in the city, living in London for, well, decades. But this is probably a case of nature forcing its way in. And, you know, from now on, it's something that we have to consider. You know, we can obviously carry on drinking wine daily anyway, but, yeah, you know, I think on Thursday, you know, I'd say all the other conditions were the same, and on Thursday it was just outstanding.
Pipalo here in the studio with me. I mean, you work for Tesco, and many millions of people buy their wine from Tesco. Is it a theory that you work by and that you would talk to your customers about?
We would certainly talk to our critics, the people who taste our wines at our tastings. And we make sure that we set our tasting days on days when we think the wines will show better. So, first choice a fruit day, second choice a flower day. So
you specifically arrange your tasting for your critics on days that are set by the moon?
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the factors that certainly has an effect. Other factors would be atmospheric conditions. I think, for instance, a day like today, I would expect wines to taste actually very good, no matter what the biodynamic calendar says. But it's one of many factors.
Yeah, OK. In terms of informing consumers about this, because many people will not have heard of this concept at all. I mean, you're an expert in the wine industry. Is it worth us knowing?
I think it has an effect. It's something to be aware of. I guess in terms of informing consumers, biodynamic considerations within wine are a lot more complex than just the way the wines are showing on a particular day.
Is there a chemical reaction or something? I mean, because you consider a wine a living organism almost.
Yes.
So is there a chemical reaction to us where the moon... Is there anything scientific about this?
I think so. I mean, the moon moves billions of square kilometres, cubic kilometres of water on a daily basis. So its effect on both us, on anything we're drinking, to be honest, it may not just be wine. It could be beer, it could be tea, it could be anything which we're consuming. It will have a certain effect, without doubt.
OK, very interesting. I'm sure people will have a glass of wine tonight, even though it's not necessarily a good day. Paolo Petrassi, thank you very much, and David Motion there for us in his shop. Thanks very much, both of you. You're watching Sky News, updating on the top stories this hour.